Now, moving on to pointly from the month of August. Now, maritime partnership exercise. A maritime partnership exercise was conducted between Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force and Indian Navy in the Andaman Sea. The exercises were aimed at enhancing interoperability and streamlining seamanship and communication procedures. Now, moving on to exercise Pitch Black. Indian Air Force has participated in exercise Pitch Black. It is a biennial exercise hosted by Australian Air Force. The participating countries include Australia, Canada, France, Germany, Indonesia, India, Japan, Malaysia, Netherlands, New Zealand, the Philippines, South Korea, Singapore, Thailand, UAE, UK, and the US. Now, moving on to exercise Yudh Abhyas. India and US will hold 18th edition of Yudh Abhyas in Uttarakhand's Oli district in October 2022. It is a joint exercise between Indian and US armies. The exercise was started in 2004 under the US Army Pacific Partnership Program. Now, moving on to exercise Vajra Prahar. The 13th edition of Indo-US Joint Special Force Exercise, that is exercise Vajra Prahar 2022, commenced at the Special Forces Training School, Bakhol in Himachal Pradesh. Now, exercise Vajra Prahar is a Special Forces joint military training exercise. It has been taking place alternately in India and US since 2010. Now, exercise Udar Shakti. It is a bilateral Air Force exercise between Indian Air Force and Malaysian Air Force. Other exercises between India and Malaysia include Harimau Shakti. It is a bilateral joint military exercise. Now, Harimau Shakti is a bilateral military exercise, whereas Udar Shakti is a bilateral Air Force exercise. Moving on to joint exercise between India and Oman. Al-Najah is a military exercise between both the armies of India and Oman. Nasim Al-Bahar is a sea, which means sea breeze, is a joint naval exercise between Indian Navy and Oman's Navy. And exercise Eastern Bridge is a joint Air Force exercise between both the countries. Now, moving on to Combined Maritime Forces, that is CMF. India has formally commenced cooperation with Combined Maritime Forces. Now, Combined Maritime Forces was established in 2001. It is a multinational naval partnership to promote security, stability, and prosperity across approximately 2.5 million square miles of international waters, which encompasses some of the world's most important shipping lanes. It is located in Bahrain and is commanded by a US Navy Vice Admiral. It consists of 34 member countries, and it includes countries such as Australia, Bahrain, Brazil, France, Japan, Pakistan, US, Yemen, among others. Now, India has cooperated with CMF on various occasions in the past, for example, coordinations in anti-piracy activities. Now, moving on to Small Satellite Launch Vehicle. Now, SSLV is a small lift launch vehicle developed by ISRO with payload capacity to deliver 500 kilograms to low Earth orbit or 300 kilograms to Sun synchronous orbit. Now, SSLV will be used for launching small satellites with capability to support multiple orbital drop-offs. Now, advantages of SSLV include small assembly times of 72 hours and low cost. It can enable space launch every week. SSLV's first launch on August 7, 2022 suffered technical glitch and could not deploy the satellites in designated orbits. Now, moving on to Astro B. Astro B is NASA's free-flying robotic system. They have been deployed at the International Space Station and are working independently, side by side, with humans. The robots are designed to complete tasks such as taking inventory, documenting experiments conducted by the astronauts with their built-in cameras, or working together to move cargoes throughout the station. The names of the robots deployed are Honey, Queen, and Bumble. Now, moving on to Venetian. China has successfully launched its second space station lab module named Venetian. Now, Venetian means quest for heaven. It is the second module of China's Tiangong space station. It will also function as a backup of the core module, Tianhe. The module is equipped with laboratory cabinets for life ecology, biotechnology, and variable gravity science. Now, moving on to Tiangong space station. It is an under construction project, a Chinese permanent space station to be placed in the low Earth orbit. The space station will have 1/5 the mass of International Space Station. The space station consists of 3 modules, which are the core module, the Tianhe, 2 lab modules, Venetian and Mengetian. The Tianhe module was launched in 2021, and Mengetian module is set to be launched in October 2022. Now, this would be the design of the capsules. The crew capsule will be Shenzhou, Mengetian will be the science lab, Venetian will be the science lab, and Tianzhou, that is Tianhe, is the core module, and Tianzhou will be the robotic cargo ship. Now, moving on to Space Liability Convention of 1972. Space Liability Convention of 1972 defines responsibility in case a space object causes harm. A launching state shall be absolutely liable to pay compensations for damage caused by its space object on the surface of the Earth or to the aircraft, and liable for damages due to its faults in space. However, there is no law against space junk crashing back to Earth. Now, moving on to MIST submarine cable system, the expert appraisal committee under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change has recommended coastal regulatory zone clearance for Myanmar, Malaysia, India, Singapore transit submarine cable, that is MIST. Now, MIST is an 8100 kilometer long international submarine cable communication network. It will provide secure, reliable, robust, and affordable telecom facilities in Asia. It will boost telecom connectivity between India and other Asian countries, namely Myanmar, Thailand, Malaysia, and Singapore. Now, it is supposed to terminate at Chennai and Mumbai and will continue towards Myanmar, Thailand, Malaysia, and Singapore. Now, moving on to cryptojacking. Cryptojacking is a cyber attack wherein a computing device is hijacked and controlled by attackers and is used to illicitly mine cryptocurrencies. In most cases, a malicious program is installed where the user clicks on an unsafe link or visits an infected website. unknowingly provided access to their system. Now, cryptojacking is done to reduce cost of mining of coins of cryptocurrencies by using computing powers of the hijacked computers. Cryptojacking is hard to detect, and the victim mostly remains unaware of their system have been compromised. According to a report, cryptojacking incidents have increased by 30% in 2022. That is the first month as compared to 2021. Now, liquefaction of sand. Liquefaction of sand is a phenomena in which strength and stiffness of soil are reduced by earthquakes, shaking, or other rapid loading. Now, liquefaction leads to collapse of structures resting on the liquefied ground. Scientists have found the shape of sand grains influence the liquefaction of sand. For instance, natural sand with regular shape liquefies easily compared to sands with irregular shape. Now, moving on to tetrapods. Tetrapod in Greek means four-legged. These are four-legged concrete structures that are placed along coastline to prevent erosion and water damage. A tetrapod can weigh between 2 to 10 tons. Each of the tetrapod's four legs extend out in different directions, leaving space between its legs. This allowed the tetrapod to dissipate the force of incoming waves by making the water flow around it and not against it. A group of tetrapod also reduces displacement by mutually interlocking. Their weight and design permits them to withstand any weather condition. Now, moving on to pyrene bioremediation. Pyrene is a polyclinic aromatic hydrocarbon, that is PAH. It is a carcinogen. Pyrene originates from multiple sources, including combustion of petrogenic fossil fuels and incomplete incineration of municipal waste and biomass. It gets lodged into the soil, water, and atmosphere, resulting in widespread environmental pollution. Now, researchers at the CSIR have found a fungal named white rot fungus Tarmetsa IIPLC 32, which has the potential to cause microbial degradation of pyrene. This fungus causes pyrene degradation using special enzymes. This fungus may prove to be helpful in remediation of pyrene and decrease the pollution level of the soil. Now, moving on to Glasgow Breakthrough. Glasgow Breakthrough agenda was launched by the United Kingdoms and a coalition of 42 world leaders, including India, at the COP26 World Leader Summit in November 2021. The agenda sets ambitious goals for 2030 to dramatically accelerate the innovation and deployment of clean technologies in 5 sectors of the economy, that is power, road transport, steel, hydrogen, and agriculture. India is a convener of the Glasgow Breakthrough on road transport, together with UK and the US. The aim is to make zero-emission vehicles, including 2 and 3-wheelers, cars, vans, heavy-duty vehicles, the new normal by making them affordable, accessible, and sustainable in all regions by 2030. Now, moving on to Coastal Cleanup Campaign. It is a 35-day campaign launched by the government to clean up coastal beaches and raise awareness about Swachh Sagar, Surakshit Sagar. Its aim is to raise awareness about and bring behavioral change about reducing marine litter, minimal use of plastic, segregation at source, and waste management. Now, the campaign will be culminated on International Coastal Cleanup Day, which falls on 17 September. Moving on to EcoMitram. It is a mobile app launched to spread awareness about coastal cleanup campaigns and also for common people to voluntary registration for beach cleaning activities on September 17, 2022. Now, moving on to Nagar Van Yojana. It was launched by Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. It aims to create Nagar Vans, that is urban forests, and Nagar Vatikas in the country with an objective to significantly enhance the tree outside forests and green cover, enhancement of biodiversity, and ecological benefits to the urban and peri-urban areas. The scheme envisages developing 400 Nagar Vans and 200 Nagar Vatikas in the country between 2021 and 2024-25. The finance for the scheme will be paid by the CAMPA, that is Compensatory Afforestation Fund Act 2016 funds. Now, moving on to endangered status for monarch butterfly. Now, migratory monarch butterfly is a subspecies of monarch butterfly. They are important pollinators and provide various ecosystem services such as maintaining the food web. These butterflies follow a unique lifestyle. They traverse the length and breadth of the American continent twice a year, feasting on nectar from a variety of flora, but they breed only in one particular plant, that is milkweeds. The population of this butterfly has declined 23 to 72% over the last decade. Habitat destruction, climate change were the biggest contributor to this decline. The International Union for Conservation of Nature, that is IUCN, has classified migratory monarch butterflies as endangered under the IUCN Red List. Now, moving on to light-mantled albatross. It is also known as grey-mantled albatross or light-mantled sooty albatross. It is native to Antarctic seas. Its IUCN status is near threatened. The light-mantled albatross has worldwide population of 21,600 breeding pairs, according to estimate in 1998. A light-mantled albatross was recently sighted in Tamil Nadu near Rameshwaram, that is in Anthiniopuram Beach, Palk Bay. It is the first time that the bird has been spotted on the Asian continent. Researchers feel a change in atmospheric pressure could have been among the reasons for albatross to land on an Indian shore. Now, moving on to Hasdeo Aranya. Chhattisgarh Legislative Assembly has unanimously passed a private member's resolution urging the union government to cancel the allocation of all coal mining blocks in the ecologically sensitive Hasdeo Aranya. It lies in the catchment area of Hasdeo River in north-central Chhattisgarh. The Hasdeo River is a tributary of Mahanadi River, which originates in Chhattisgarh and flows through Odisha into Bay of Bengal. Now, the Hasdeo forests are also catchment area for the Hasdeo Bango Dam, built across the Hasdeo River, which irrigates 6 lakh acres of land. Besides, the forests are ecologically sensitive due to rich biodiversity they offer due to the presence of a large migratory corridor for elephants. Now moving on to Indian Virtual Herbarium, it has been developed by Botanical Survey of India. It is a digital database of plants and preserved parts of plants with labeled information. The herbarium provides information on plants in different categories, such as cryptogems, that is spore-bearing plants, phaneogerms, that is seed-bearing plants. Each recorded in digital herbarium include an image of the preserved plant specimen, scientific name, collection locality, and collection date, collector's name, barcode number. This is the biggest virtual database of flora in the country. Now moving on to India's trade deficit. India's trade deficit widened to US $31 billion in July 2022 due to contracting merchandise export and a rise in imports. This is 3 times increase from US dollars approximately 11 billion US dollars reported in July 2021. Now the ownership of cryptocurrencies. According to a UNCTAD report, Ukraine has topped the list of countries with respect public ownership of cryptocurrencies. Now 12.7% of Ukrainians own cryptocurrencies. It is followed by Russia, Venezuela, Singapore, Kenya, and the US. India has been ranked 7th with 7.3 Indians owning cryptocurrencies. Now, moving on to blue bonds. A blue bond is a debt instrument issued by governments, development banks, or others to raise capital from investors to finance marine and ocean based projects like sustainable ocean resource mining and sustainable fishing. They have positive environmental, economic, and climate benefit. The issuance of blue bond enables investors to fulfill their corporate social responsibility and generate benefits for the ocean. Now, SEBI has proposed the concept of blue bonds as mode of sustainable finance. The Republic of Seychelles launched the world's first sovereign blue bonds in 2018, raising a total $18 million to advance the small islands state's blue economy. Now, the flow of capital is such that a blue project is funded by the government. The funding comes in the form of capital from the investors. The government would return the capital with interest, and government, for providing funds for the blue projects, receives financial flows coming from the blue projects, like the economic benefits coming from the blue projects, and the oceanic benefits benefit the local and the global communities. Moving on to India's Innovation Index, Niti Aayog has released India Innovation Index 2021. It is prepared by Institute for Competitiveness. It is a tool for evaluation of the country's innovation ecosystem and ranks the states and union territories on 7 key pillars. Now, Karnataka topped the major state category. Manipur emerged as the winner in the Northeast and Hill states. Chandigarh was the top performer in union territories and city-state category. Now, to see the 7 pillars of the index of India's Innovation Index, the enablers are human capital, investment, knowledge workers, business environment, safety and legal environment, and the performance is based on knowledge output and knowledge diffusion. So these are the 7 pillars of the index. Now moving on to fall in India's forex reserve from a peak of 642.45 billion in 2021, India's foreign reserve exchange have dipped to $572 billion as of July 2022. That's a fall of almost $70 billion in just over 10 months. The forex fell due to outflow of funds from the domestic market by foreign portfolio investors, amounting to approximately $30 billion since January 2022. Rising oil prices, RBI's intervention in the currency market to stabilize the value of rupee, and change in value of foreign currency assets due to change in exchange rate of US dollars and euro. Now moving on to GI tag for white onions. The white onions of Alibag in Maharashtra's Raigad district have received a geographical indication. Alibag is a coastal town in Raigad district of Maharashtra. The soil of Alibag Taluka has low sulfur content. Due to this, onions have low pungency, sweet taste, and no tear factor. Low pyruvic acid, high protein, fat and fiber content, besides high oxidant compounds, that is quercetin. It boosts immunity, helps with insomnia, blood cleansing, blood pressure, and heat-related ailments. Now let's see Srimad Ramchandra. Srimad Ramchandra was a Jain poet living in approximately 1867 to 1901, philosopher, scholar, and reformer. Honored as Yug Purush, he gave the world a rich heritage that continues to guide generations of seekers in a short span of 34 years. He wrote a large number of philosophical poems, including Atma Siddhi. He is best known for his teachings on Jainism and his spiritual guidance to Mahatma Gandhi. The Prime Minister of India inaugurated and laid the foundation stone of various projects of Srimad Ramchandra Mission at Dharampur in Gujarat. Now moving on to Jagriti mascot, the Department of Consumer Affairs has launched the Jagriti mascot. It is a mascot for empowering consumers and generating awareness of their rights. It will be projected as an empowered consumer who is spreading awareness about the consumer's right and addressing solutions to problems faced by the consumers. The mascot shall be shown along with the tagline Jago Grahak Jago in all its media campaign. Now moving on to Namaste scheme for cleaning of sewers and septic tanks. The Union government has formulated a Namaste scheme for cleaning of sewers and septic tanks. It stands for National Action Plan for Mechanized Sanitation Ecosystem. The nodal ministries are Department of Drinking Water and Sanitation, Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. It aims to achieve outcomes like zero fatalities in sanitation work in India. No sanitation workers come in direct contact with human fecal matter, and all sewer and septic tank sanitations have access to alternative livelihood. The scheme replaces the self-employment scheme for rehabilitation of manual scavengers. The scheme will be implemented from 2022 to 2026 across 500 city townships notified under the Atal Mission for Rejuvenation and Urban Transformation, that is AMRUT. Now moving on to Atal Vyayo Abhyuday Yojana. It is a scheme under the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. Its aim is to improve the quality of life of senior citizens by providing basic amenities like shelter, food, medicine care, and entertainment opportunities. It has several subcomponents like Integrated Program for Senior Citizens, State Action Plan for Senior Citizens, Rashtriya Vayushri Yojana, Senior Able Citizen for Re-employment in Dignity, that is SACRED, Action Group aimed at social reconstruction, Agrasar, Senior Care Aging Growth Engine, that is SAGE, Silver Economy for Senior Citizens, Elderline, which will be a national helpline for senior citizens, etc. Now, moving on to Vidya Samiksha Kendra. Vidya Samiksha Kendra is aimed at leveraging data and technology to bring a big leap in learning outcomes. It will help states in tracking student enrollment, progress their learning levels, out of school children mainstreamed, textbook delivery, support required by teachers and schools, etc. Now, moving on to landlord port model. In landlord port model, the publicly governed port authority acts as a regulatory body and as a landlord, while the private companies carry out port operations, mainly cargo handling activities. The port authority maintains ownership of the port, while the infrastructure is leased to private firms that provide and maintain their own superstructure and install their own equipments to handle cargo. The landlord port gets a share of the revenue from the private entity. Jawaharlal Nehru Port has become the first major landlord port in India. Now, Surya Mitra Skill Development Program. It is being implemented by the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy with the help of National Institute of Solar Energy, NICE, since 2015-16. Its aim is to train youth of the age above 18 years as solar PV technicians for installation, operation, and maintenance of solar power projects. The impact assessment report for program observed that more than 88% of the trainees reported an increase in job opportunities. Now, moving on to Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya. The National Rail and Transportation Institute, Vadodara, which is a deemed university, will be converted into Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya. The Vishwavidyalaya will be sponsored and funded by the Union Government through Ministry of Railways. It will take measures to provide quality teaching, research, and skill development in disciplines related to transportation, technology, and management. Now, moving on to Smile 75 initiative, it has been launched by the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. It aims to make cities and towns and municipal areas begging free. It will also make a strategy for comprehensive rehabilitation of persons engaged in the act of begging through coordinated action of various stakeholders. 75 municipal corporations in collaborations with NGOs and other stakeholders with covers several comprehensive welfare measures for persons who are engaged in the act of begging.